Hey everybody, it's Mike. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do a video on the Washingtonia Robusta. This is one I've been wanting to do for a while. And it's a good time to be doing an update on this one because it is officially 25 years old this month. July of 1998, I dug this thing up out of my aunt's backyard in Pomona, California. They had a bunch of seedlings just coming up from two tall Robustas they had growing. And they were just throwing them away. They did it every year. They would just pull them out, throw them away, and I just happened to be there when they were doing it. And grabbed about 6 of them, took them back home with me to Washington, and kept them in a greenhouse the first couple winters, you know, just testing the waters with them. And I had all 6 of them probably for the next few years. I think around 2003, by 2003 I was down to 3 of them. So the first 3 died. I can't remember the circumstances, but they didn't make it after a few years, and I was down to 3. And then at one point I remember I had to keep the 3 of them at a house that I didn't actually live at, but there was some room in the backyard for me to keep them there so they can get sun and everything they needed, but they weren't going to be maintained, so I was going to have to go over and maintain them. Well, life happened and I just kind of forgot about them, and a little over a month later I decided to go check on them, and 2 of the 3 were dead, and the other 2 were sitting further in on the patio away from the yard. But this one was sitting on the edge of the patio near the yard, and it was still alive, and I was trying to figure out why that might be. And I figured out that the sprinkler system in the yard that came on in the morning and at night was actually hitting the pot, so it was keeping this palm watered while the other 2 were getting no water. So if this had been sitting back further, even just a couple feet from the yard, this thing would have died 18 years ago. So pretty cool that it's still here. And just to give you guys an idea, back in '98, that's about how big it was. So really it hasn't grown a whole lot. So that's one of the things about pot growing these, is you can keep their growth under control and their size under control by just keeping the size of the pot under control. So I've had it in this size pot since 2016. So 7 years, 4, 5, 6, yeah, it's 2023. Yeah, geez, okay. And I think before that it was in a pot about half that size, and once I got it into this size pot 7 years ago, it really took off a little bit more. So I don't think I'm going to increase the pot size anymore at this point. I want to keep it, you know, reasonable enough to where I can move it in and out of the house if I need to. But yeah, it has seen some pretty bad situations. I've had it in a north-facing window in a house during the winter for 2 months without really any light. It didn't look good. It did not look good, but it did bounce back in the spring when I took it back outside though. So it has been on the brink of death a few times. I know even just last winter it turned completely brown at one point from the cold and the wet. So, but it still made it out. So yeah, needless to say, I'm not going to plant this in the ground unless I know it's going to be in an area where it's not going to be taken out by a freeze in a couple years. So we'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, I have no problem keeping this in a pot and just watching it kick fronds out over and over and over again. So I will say that trunk has doubled in size in the last 3 years though. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically the story on it. I know I've probably touched on that a few times in other videos where I've talked about this palm, but yeah, basically just wanted to do a video strictly on this one. Wish it a happy birthday, happy 25 years, happy quarter of a century, and here's to another 25 years of hauling this palm around with me. So anyway, that's about it for this update. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next one.